Allison. Hi, Maris. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Welcome, welcome, friends. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Mita Malik, and you are in the right room if you are here to listen to Chris and I talk about how using AI on LinkedIn can ruin your leadership brand. Yes, that is what we're talking about today. Thanks for being here. I'm in the LinkedIn community. I try to do weekly audio rooms with friends and thought leaders on topics that are top of mind and that we're all messaging and talking about offline and online. And I have a book that came out last year called Reimagine Inclusion, Debunking 13 Myths to Transform Your Workplace. I hope podcast network with my good friend DC Marshall. I hope that can also serve as a resource for you as well, all about how women of color can go from surviving to thriving in the workplace and how allies can help. And so today I'm here to talk with Chris Gee on how using AI on LinkedIn can ruin your leadership brand. Hello to Jacqueline, Barry, Nick, so many people that are entering today the room. We appreciate you. And so I'm going to do, as I always do, a personal introduction about Chris, my co-host. I always like to do that, and then he will more formally introduce himself. But Chris and I met through our good friend Latoya, and in the midst of launching my book, and showed up and was such a big supporter, and then introduced me to Chris, who has also been an amazing supporter, an ally for me. I have signed up to do some coaching conversations with Chris, and he's been an amazing sounding board and has a lot of expertise in the area of AI and the intersection in communications. And I know he has limited spots for clients, so go ahead and follow him right now. Chris, I'm going to hand it over to you to do your more formal introduction.
Well, thank you. And great to see everyone in this audio room. As Mita mentioned, I'm Chris Gee. I am CEO and founder of Chris Gee Consulting. I focus on really helping empower leaders to transform both their skill set and their organizations with AI implementation and AI literacy. I also work with companies on digital strategy as well as on thought leadership strategy. And so this topic is really near and dear to my heart because even prior to starting Chris Gee Consulting, at places I've worked, Edelman, Teneo, Burson, etc., I worked with, over the past 12 years or so, dozens of executive leaders on how to sort of build or amplify or accelerate their online thought leadership, and predominantly those efforts either started or centered around LinkedIn. So this is a really timely topic, especially marrying two things that I talk about a lot, which is thought leadership on LinkedIn plus AI. So I'm really looking forward to diving into it.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so excited you're here because I've got so many questions and I know you have so many answers. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Dean. Lots of people joining today. So, Chris, this because we were talking about this not too long ago. Audio room about this, like, and Abid and I was here. We've also talked about this. I've talked to other friends about this. My LinkedIn feed lately is looking the same. It looks the same, and grown a big community. Thank you, everyone who follows me and engages my content. I'm very grateful. I also try to now find people who are growing their communities, who have interesting things to say, and try to comment. I try to do that as much as I can in my limited time. And I feel like I'm just missing this on authenticity piece from people. Certainly, there are some people who are showing up with awesome, authentic content. But I'm wondering, is AI to blame? Like, the listicles and the same sort of posts, or I just need to improve my feed? I know it's probably both, but would love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think the AI is definitely plays a part, right? I think that certainly LinkedIn is rolling out some AI assisted content creation tools and capabilities that help you write a post, start a post, come up with a topic for a post. There are also other tools like Taplio, which I use, which has a lot of AI assisted features which will generate posts for you. It'll actually, connect to your LinkedIn
Chris,
profile.
can I pause you for a second? Can you
Sure.
talk more about that tool for people who haven't heard about it? I think you said it was Taplio. Can you just give us
Yes.
a quick 101? Yes,
Oh,
thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. So Taplio, and thanks for stopping me and letting making me take a step back for a sec. Yes, Taplio is. I'll just be honest with you. One of my favorite tools in terms of helping with content creation on LinkedIn. It helps you to schedule posts. You can come up with it has a queue content, where you can create a content calendar and schedule your posts throughout the day, week, month, whatever. It has measurement, so you can look at the performance of your posts, see what's done well, what hasn't, what's gotten most engagements, views, comments, etc. And then, as I mentioned before, there are some AI-assisted content creation features within Taplio. One of them is a generated for you tab, which essentially connects, as I was mentioning before, connects to your LinkedIn profile, analyzes the content that you posted in the past, and then generates for you. It'll actually come up with about 6 posts that are usually pretty good first drafts, based on what you've posted about before. And then you can either take those and edit them and post them, etc. And then there are other features too, like a hook generator, which is really handy because anyone who posts on LinkedIn often, or any social platform often, knows that you've got to hook people in, you've got to draw them in initially, or they're just going to keep scrolling.
So can I stop you for a second? Because
Sure.
you said something really interesting. You said it provides good drafts.
Yes. So I
Yes,
think that's where
let's hone in on.
yeah,
You
because
said draft.
yes, and I think
Yes.
so I think that kind of brings us back full circle to kind of what you've been experiencing in your feed. So AI is a great source of drafts, first drafts. Too many people, and you can see it in feeds, you can see it in emails. Too many people are publishing and posting content out of AI without editing, and that's problematic on a number of levels. One, it's very like, the AI is not, artificial intelligence is not human intelligence, right? So AI models are fed, they ingested all of this data from the internet and social media, and they use that as the basis to create new content. So um, if you ask it to give you something, chances are other people are asking something very similar, and you're going to get very similar results. And the AI, especially tools like ChatGPT, sound very similar. There are certain terms or certain words that it overuses for whatever reason. So when you see those terms or those words pop up in other people's posts, it's a dead giveaway that they kind of like took stuff right out of ChatGPT or similar AI tools. But I think the biggest threat to your thought leadership is that you fall into the sea of sameness. And Mita, I think that using you as an example, your posts are clearly not drawn from AI, right? Because and it's easy for anyone who follows you to see because you really draw from your own personal experiences, your observations, your frustrations, things that you've gone through in your journey professionally and personally, etc. And no AI model could ever make that up, right? And it also is one of the reasons that your content resonates with so many people because so many people find it relatable. They can empathize with it. You empathize with them, etc. You don't get that from AI. So I think that's a big factor in that. On the one hand, what's great about AI is that it makes it easier to get over the creative block and to actually start publishing. So people found it very valuable because, hey, this is great. I can publish more quickly and more frequently. The bad thing is that it's easy to slip into being lazy and not editing and putting your own personal stamp onto the content. And
Oh,
at that point, what's the point? Because you're going to
yeah.
sound just like everybody else.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris, for the shout out about my content. We talked about this. I do not use Chat GPT for LinkedIn at all. I think it's very useful and helpful, I'm sure, in many other different ways, but I just enjoy writing so much. I have a journal full of prompts. I'm sure someday I'll run out of prompts and I will go look. But that's, I loved your process and how you were talking about that. The thing that I want to hone in on that you just said, and friends, thanks for being here. We will take questions in probably the next 5 to 7 minutes. So if you have questions, we have Chris who has deep expertise. Please raise your hand and you can join us on stage if you have a question or a comment. But the thing I want to hone in on is this idea, and Liam, who's a friend of mine who also has a lot of expertise on LinkedIn, he's been in the audio room with me as well, sharing his advice on building thought leadership on LinkedIn. There's this fine line between quantity and quality. And I think what AI is doing is forcing some people to be in the quantity mindset that you can actually, as you say, have like prompts after prompts after prompts and quotes, drafts after drafts after drafts, and you can be posting. But if the quality is not there, it's actually damaging your leadership brand because you're just pumping out a bunch of stuff that either isn't authentic, there's no hook, people can't relate to it. But I'm posting, Chris. I'm posting twice a day.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think that people in that regard misunderstand what you're actually trying to achieve. Um, when things work well on a thought leadership in terms of your thought leadership efforts, you're really touching people. You're making a difference. You're impacting people, and you can tell when that's happening. I'm sure, Mita, this happens to you all the time. That people DM you, hey, your post really resonated with me. I went through a similar experience. I'd love to pick your brain. All that kind of stuff. You can really see it. You're starting to impact lives and make a difference. And you don't get that when you're just kind of pumping out stuff. You just, it's, I guess on a certain level, it's great in terms of you get those little bursts of dopamine that we all love so much. But at the end of the day, when you step back from it, you say, well, what am I doing this for? Right? Am I just trying to fill up feeds and put tons more content on LinkedIn, which serves them, but how does that really serve me? So, and then the other thing I would say is that, and I've always said this to executives when I've worked with them on thought leadership programs, unlike some other social media platforms, LinkedIn is really not a volume play. I mean, you guys all, I'm sure everyone connected on this call, on this audio room knows this, but you can make a significant impact posting only once a day on LinkedIn, which is very different from some other platforms where you really do need to feed the beast and be present more often. Let's say Twitter, for instance. So, and you could do just a few posts a week and really have a lot of traction, especially where the algorithm works today. So I think that a lot of those people are sort of defeating themselves. Then the other thing I would say is that the way the algorithm works is that it sort of grades your post initially and determines whether it's high quality or low quality. And if it's just a whole bunch of unedited ChatGPT nonsense, then it's more likely to mark it as low quality, and you're not going to really get that much in terms of impressions or engagements anyway, because the algorithm's not going to serve it up to more eyeballs. So, and I think the last thing I'll say is that everything that I've seen from LinkedIn and everything I've heard from LinkedIn is that they are really tweaking the algorithm and their editors to focus on highlighting content that really helps people and that starts conversations and that gives meaningful advice or information. So, an AI is not going to do that without you really heavily prompting it, which means you're really pouring yourself into it.
I love that. Thank you all for being here. We're talking to Chris on how using AI on LinkedIn can ruin your leadership brand. Please go give him a follow. And I know he has limited spots for clients. So if you're interested in spending more one-on-one time, please reach out to Chris. Barry, thank you for having your hand raised. We're going to get to questions in a second. Chris, something else that's been really bothering me is the comment section. When I first started my LinkedIn journey, my friend Jill Katz said to me, comments are like the water cooler in the office or your coffee bar. Like it's where conversations can get started and where you can really engage on topics. And I, on my own posts, try as much as I can. I know you'll relate because you have a young child as well. The calm before the storm in my house. I try to post in the morning, try to engage with some comments, and then the kids are up and it's done, right? And then I'm not usually on LinkedIn again till the evening, but I do like to read the comments and engage with people on how they're feeling about a conversation I may have started. But some of these comments I'm looking at, they're like paragraphs of text, like paragraphs and paragraphs, which is fine if you have something really deep you're sharing. But sometimes I'm like, did you cut and paste this from somewhere? Because I'm not following this chain of thought. And sometimes the comments seem like a regurgitation of my post, right? So, like, if I'm writing about toxic bosses, which I often do share about my experiences with toxic bosses and why are individuals toxic, and it's like they regurgitated the post and then have a definition on toxicity. I'm like, this is really weird. Is this AI? Like, help me out, Chris. What is going on with comments?
Yeah, I think you probably are seeing the impact of some of these AI tools. I mentioned Taplio before, and there are some others, but Taplio and some other. So Taplio has a another tab in it called Engage, and so part of the way that it says, that you can grow your following is to um, comment on other creators' posts, and so it'll serve up recommendations for other creators. You can comment on their posts, and you can click a button, and it'll create a draft comment for you. Now, again, draft comment, and I don't think that it's ever meant for you to just click send and actually post that comment as is, as the AI created. I think that if you want to use that strategy, it's a good strategy. But to me, I think that the biggest benefit that you get from comments, and I have built some very detailed commenting strategies for thought leaders. But the best thing that you get is if you create value, right? So if a creator does a post and they say, here are the top 5 things I think about X, and then you come in and you say, hey, Mita, that's a great top 5. Here's my number 6 to your list or something, and you add something that's really thoughtful and insightful. Then you're adding to the community, and you're going to get people who are going to notice that. And then, some of Mita's followers are going to become your followers. They're going to say, hey, this Chris G guy really adds to this community and everything, and I want to follow him as well. But if you're just adding crap, if you're just taking something that was, like you said, regurgitated from an AI tool, and you don't make any edits, you're not adding any value, it almost does hurt your brand, right? Because it doesn't propel you forward. It doesn't make it look like you're adding anything. And also, I've noticed that there are people who will go into those comments and call those comments out. Say, hi, ChatGPT. So now you've got public shaming.
I think that in my head, but I don't want to show up with that spirit on the platform. But there are some comments that I see, oh, I know this is ChatGPT generated in my heart. And I'll say, thanks for sharing. Or actually now I've just stopped commenting back because I'm like, this is odd to me. Like, anyways, but that is funny that people are saying, hi, ChatGPT. I don't think I've gotten there yet. I'm gonna bring Barry up on stage. It seems like there's a question or a comment there, but friends, don't be shy. We've got Chris, who has a lot of deep expertise, rare opportunity to get on stage and ask a question or make a comment. I will bring up Barry. I'm going to bring up Allison. Let's hope. Yes, great. No technical glitches.
Right.
Okay. Hello. I'm going to ask everyone, if we mispronounce your name, please help us pronounce it correctly. And quick comment or question so everyone has enough time to talk. And then Chris, I'm just going to have you directly chat with people as I pull up on stage. Thanks so much, everyone.
No problem.
Hi. I'm hoping I'm live, and you pronounce my name beautifully, Mita. So thank you very much for that. Hi, Chris. I love the chat. I loved what you were saying about drafting with Chat GTP. I'm not in social media as an industry. I'm a school principal, but so obviously Chat GTP is or OpenAI or large language models are impacting education. What I'm really interested in is your take on once someone posting, or in my case, a student has a draft or has something from OpenAI or a large language model AI. Is there a way in which you think it's best to approach that draft in order to get the very best out of it, no matter what it may be, a post or an essay or a piece of work or an idea? And I'm well with you on the idea of OpenAI having drafts rather than finished pieces.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the answer is yes. I think you've got to go in understanding sort of like what I want the finished product to be. Typically, and I do use ChatGPT and Taplio and some other AI tools to help me with my content creation. But I'm the architect. So when I say that, I mean that like I'll say I want, let's say for instance, a LinkedIn post. I want a 140 word LinkedIn post. I want it structured this way with a compelling hook about X. I want you to make these points. I want you to, I get really granular. I want you to use anaphora, 3 items, in descending order or whatever. And, so I give it a lot of meat and a lot of detail. What it gives me back still won't be right, but I already know what I want the structure of my post to look like. So when I go to edit what it gave me, I'm kind of bringing it closer to the vision that I have in my mind. So I think I think that's the best way to approach it. You've got to know, here's what I want. Same thing if you're putting together a white paper. Same thing if you're putting together an ebook, right? Here's what the finished product should look like. Give ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you're giving very specific prompts and very specific directions about the structure, the content, etc. And then obviously you're going to continue to manicure it once you get back what it gives you, which is going to maybe be, like I said, at best, a good first draft.
I love that. Go on and manicure it. So I'll get off the stage in a second. So what I'm taking from that is you think, treating this like a collaborator rather than an engine of production is the best way to approach it philosophically.
100. I always say co-pilot, not autopilot.
Okay, I'm going to steal that, but I will quote you. Okay.
Feel
Thanks
free.
so much. That's great. That's really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. We're going to move to Alice.
Hi, Chris. Hello, everyone. So my question is pretty basic, but I want Chris's expertise on it. So Chris, I feel like we're in this thought leadership realm. So with us being in this thought leadership realm, can you tell us the difference between a subject matter expert and a thought leader?
Well, I think you could be a subject matter expert and a thought leader, and you can be a subject matter expert and not be a thought leader. And I think you can be a thought leader and not be a subject matter expert, if any of that makes any sense. And I'll try to unpack it very quickly. There are a lot of subject matter experts out there.
Venn diagram, Chris. I need a Venn diagram.
Yeah, we should have done a we should have done a video, right?
Yes.
There are many more subject matter experts. Think about a lawyer, think about your accountant, think about your dentist, right? They're all subject matter experts. Very few of them are thought leaders. Only a small percentage within any of those industries or any industry will be thought leaders or leaders of any type, right? So you can certainly be one and not be the other. There are also thought leaders who are not necessarily subject matter experts. There are a lot of thought leaders who curate, right? So they're not an expert in any of these things, but they go out, they buy the internet or whatever it is, and they bring to you, all of this information so you don't have to go find it yourself. Are they an expert? No, not really. There are some thought leaders who start out posts by saying, I spent the whole weekend reading all of this thing so you don't have to. Here's what I found, right? So, you can be a thought leader by curating content without necessarily being a subject matter expert. Does that make any sense? Oh, she's off the room.
I was following. I understand that. Absolutely. Thank you. Cassandra, I hope we're saying your name correctly. If you want to ask a question, share a comment, the floor is yours.
I think Cassandra, you're still on mute.
Yes. Hi. Hello there. Hello, Mita.
Hello.
Hi, Chris. I just had a really quick question. This may be a rudimentary question, but I was curious. Out of all the different ChatGPT and automation tools that you're seeing, for instance, you had mentioned Tableau. Are there perhaps maybe 5 or 10 main tools that you're saying that everyone uses in the space again and again? I'd be curious to know that, because it seems like there's a new AI tool every single day. So I'd be curious to know the main contenders that you are currently seeing in the space.
Yeah, that's a good question. You're right. With every passing day, not only are there new tools, but there are also existing tools that are becoming AI powered. Say, for instance, Notion is also a very popular tool for content creation. And And it certainly, Notion isn't an AI tool. It started out, not with AI capabilities, but it now has significant content creation capabilities built within it. I think you could probably say the same thing about some of the venerable content creation tools that we've known for the longest time, like Hootsuite, and even I think some tools like HubSpot now have a lot of AI assisted content creation capabilities built into it. So they're literally sort of, like you said, rolling out every single day. I think Taplio is a pretty big player for LinkedIn. And I think that's largely because there historically hasn't been a big ecosystem of tools that were geared toward LinkedIn. Most of the tools that we associate with content creation were built around servicing some of the sexier social networks. But I think it's a good question. I posted, and maybe what I'll do is repost it later on today. I did a post about a couple months ago where I kind of talked about my stack. And I shared all the different tools that I use in my stack, and I listed the different categories: content creation, and scheduling, or analytics, or whatever it might be. So I'll resurface that, and you can kind of draw from mine. And then maybe what I'll do too is share sometime this week. I'd done a workshop a couple of weeks ago where I kind of did a table that listed out all the popular tools for content creation, image creation, all this kind of stuff. So I'll do both. And by the way, anyone who's interested in getting their hands on any of that stuff beforehand, just DM me, and I'm happy to kind of send you a link on my website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was great. That was a really good question. Thank you, Cassandra. Chris, as we're headed toward the end of our time together, I don't see anyone else raising their hand. I'm going to give it 1 minute. No, I don't think anyone else is raising hands. So Chris, I wanted to end with a summary of the do's and don'ts of using AI to help you with your LinkedIn content. You went through some of them. I mean, one of the biggest don'ts I got was don't post the draft.
Right.
Don't post the draft comment. Don't post the draft post. But can you tell us like 3 things that we should think about when we're using AI for LinkedIn content, like 3 do's?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, great question. So one first do is look to save time, right? I think that you raised a great point, Mita, which is that, like, the only AI doesn't have to just write posts for you. There are a lot of different things you can use AI for with respect to content creation. So find where you're getting stuck, and then where if there's an AI automation tool that can help you get past that point. And it doesn't have to be writing. If you got writing covered, maybe it's with visuals, right? And you can use something like Canva, which has great AI assisted tools, or maybe like a Dolly or something to come up with an image that you can't find anywhere else that kind of like bring to life an idea. So I think find where you get stuck and use the right AI tool to get you past that for content creation. I'd say the second is make sure that you put yourself into it. If you get it out of ChatGPT, anybody else can get it out of ChatGPT. What's going to make it special is what you put into it that no one can get anywhere else. And that's true of any type of thought leadership, even if you start with the pen and paper. And then I think the third thing is that I would say is, try to innovate. For me, I try to think like, okay, what things can I do? What things can AI help me do that I couldn't do before, or I couldn't do without AI? So I'm experimenting with using AI for audio. I clone my voice. It helps me to kind of speed up creating audio for podcasts or other things. I can actually see what it sounds like or what the time code's like without having to lay down the audio. So I think that there are a lot of different things where you can say, how can I push the envelope and start to innovate rather than sort of just focusing on the lowest hanging fruit. So that would be my 3.
I love that. Thank you so much. And don't post the draft comments, friends. Don't post the draft comments. But in all seriousness, Chris, thank you for your knowledge, your wealth of expertise. Please go follow Chris. And I know he has limited spots available to work with clients. And I know he is a great partner and has been a great partner for me. So, Chris, I hope you'll come back in the future for another audio room.
Thank you for having me. And thanks all.
Yes, there's a lot more to cover on this topic. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. Bye.
Bye.